open session. Seconded by Mr. Nolenberg. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Tonight's meeting is being digitally recorded by our so talented Dragonfoots from Tcusd High School. Thank you very much. Mr. Bell, would you be so kind as to lead us into the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Everyone, please join us. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bell. Okay, tonight the Board of Education took no actions in closed session.
Their first weeks.
Yes.
No, they're planning to ask us these tough questions.
Mr. Apprecio, it is your turn. Please have a seat wherever you're comfortable. So we have all the royal families. Is that correct? Well, welcome to our meeting of the Board of Education for Temple City Unified School District. I am Larry Marston. I get the honors of being the president of the school board for this year. Mr. Pomeroy to my right, our vice president for this year. Mr. Bell, our clerk for this year. And we have members Ken Nolenberg and members George Gould. So on behalf of the school board, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. If you don't already know, my name is Gina Aparicio, and I'm the General Chairman for the 73rd Annual Camellia Festival. And first of all, I want to thank you so much for having us here tonight. I'm excited to introduce our new Royal Court for this year, and I will start by introducing them. First, we have our banner carriers, Harmony Wong and Maverick Aiden Smith. Are they? Oh, they're not quite ready?
They're getting their partners lined up.
I thought they're coming now.
Can we discuss ice cream social or anything? Is there any good stuff that's
Here they come. Okay. Okay, we have Harmony Wong and Maverick Aiden Smith. And next we have Adam Hauge and Georgia Pfluger. And now we have our Royal Court, Princess Allie Lamb and Prince Connor Fan. And next we have Princess Jaslyn Young and Prince Justin Sun. And last but not least, King Tcusd Boe Duhamel and Queen Amrita Nakshatri. I'll get her name right. And this is our Royal Court for 2017. These children were selected from a group of nearly 70 children, first graders who tried out for the Royal Court in January. They were judged on how they got along with others and followed directions. In addition, each child had a chance to answer questions using a microphone. Part of their royal duties includes opening up the carnival, leading our Camellia Festival parade, and making special appearances such as this. So do any of the board members have any questions for our Royal Court?
Oh, we have lots of questions. Mr. Gould, would you?
Oh, we have lots of questions.
What year did they first start the Royal Court? Do you know?
Where's our general chairman? No, I mean our director. Ann, do you know what year?
What year what? Was the first one? 73 years ago.
73 years ago. Okay, they had the Royal Court.
So that was in 1944.
Very good.
And the first Rose Queen was like a 2-month-old baby girl.
Oh my goodness.
And we've grown a little since.
Anybody else?
Okay, I think I'll have the best question tonight. What has been the most fun of this whole adventure?
They haven't had it.
The play date was
The play date was fun? Yes?
the ice cream.
There you are.
Good one, Harmony.
I was at the ice cream social and it was the bomb. We screamed for ice cream, right?
Ice cream.
So did you have fun at the coordination last Friday night?
Yeah.
That was quite the event. Had you ever been in a setting like that before? We had to walk in front of all those people. You looked very royal, in my opinion. I think you pulled it off perfectly.
Thank you.
So
Okay,
what's your schedule for, like, this weekend? Do you have events for going on through this Saturday?
No,
Yeah, this weekend off?
unfortunately.
Any other questions from the board?
see, our next appearance is tomorrow. They have an appearance at the Women's Club at noon,
And then Monday, I think, is the next one.
and then Monday at the Chamber.
Also,
Right.
yeah.
Well, you are some busy first graders. Probably more busy in this than you are at school, eh?
Yeah. Well, I'm way.
You're way busier?
Yes,
I
because
can tell.
I have a game on
Her social schedule.
the weekends and for basketball, and I have road court. And a lot of stuff on
You can wear your dress at basketball.
I think somebody.
Who's,
I think it's she's that are rubbing on the mic.
No, not
see,
fireworks.
the school board's always the fun.
You guys hang out and not feel
Okay, I think Mr. Kuna
I have
has.
one more introduction.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce Ann Sykes, our royal governess, that escorts the royal court at all appearances. Ann, raise your hand, please.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Do you not hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, and Dawn Tarrant is at a Camellia Booth meeting, so she wasn't able to make it tonight. I would also at this time like to thank the royal court, parents of the royal court, for being here tonight and having their children here, so thank you so much for being here, parents. And also, at this time, do any of you children have questions for the board members, the school board members? Anybody want to ask them something? On like what they do? Can, Mr. Marson, can you tell the children what the school board entails?
I would be happy to. Besides ice cream socials, the 5 members here, we are elected officials. Your mommies and daddies vote for us during elections and choose us to set policies of what the school district will be like. And in these meetings, we discuss the policies, and if they need to be changed or modified a little bit, we work with the administration, our superintendent, Kathy Carini, who is at a superintendent symposium tonight. Really regret she can't be here. We work directly with her to convey our policies, and then she and her administration will then turn those policies into actions. You know, we decide the what, and they decide the how of the school district. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. Besides eating cookies.
Nice meeting. Thank you so much. Okay, we'd just like to make you aware that the Camellia Festival is this last weekend of the month. this month, which is the 24th, 25th, and 26th, and we hope to see you all there. And once again, thank you so much for having us here tonight.
Before you go, the district would like to thank not only you and for all of your hard work, but also our students, and thank them for representing the district and the city and everything that they do so well. We have, kids, we have little gifts for you, which we have some yogurt gift cards for you in here. Yeah, it's not quite ice cream, it's a healthier version. Before we do that, I would like to see if our board would like to take a picture with all of the boards.
Jerry's gonna come in.
We would love to do that. I guess when we sit back down.
All right, look over here.
Just stand right there. For the rest of the just stand there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Marnie, you gotta put your legs down. Got an itch?
Yeah.
Get on the page, you guys can.
Okay, one more.
We're gonna do a silly one. There we go.
Here we go.
We have one more question for all the kids. I was wondering if everyone could tell us what school they attend.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Georgia, can you tell the school board members what school you go to?
I go to St. Luke.
Adam. Longden.
La Rosa. London.
Lots of London.
Longden Way.
Oh, Longden Way.
Longden.
Longden.
Let's put the water in Longden on
I
the
know.
Well, thank you.
7 kids are from Longden. 5 people.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sorry that you once gave me.
I know, right? Maybe next year.
Bye-bye.
Thank you much. And moms and dads, thank you very much for bringing the children tonight. We really appreciate seeing them all.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and we actually still have people in the audience.
I would love to stay, actually. I have some things I would like to.
Okay. I have one request for public comments. Mr. Lawson Gray, would you please?
Good evening, board and cabinet. I really appreciate the opportunity to come speak to you guys today. Today I'd like to talk about our crossing guard. And we have had a crossing guard since I've been at Oak Avenue at Tobacco Road. And it's been nice. However, there's been so many issues at the corner of Emperor and Oak. And I want to say our superintendent has come out and tried to work with the situation. We've had a board member come out and help direct traffic. but I am so appreciative to the board on behalf of our students and families at Oak Avenue for you guys paying for a crossing guard at Oak and Emperor, and also at Tcusd Boulevard, at Oak and Lemon. It helps out so much, and it is a dangerous intersection, and I appreciate you as a board stepping up to support our kids and doing the right thing. So I want to say thank you very much to the board, and I have a special presentation to a particular board member who has braved the elements and braved the cars. And I want to say thank you to Vincent Bell, and I actually have a stop sign for you that I'd like to present to you to say thank you so much for being out there and for helping us out, and it's been really, we've appreciated it. So thank you.
That's all, can I use that tomorrow?
I think you're fired, man. You can't come in. But once again, we really appreciate it, and it means a lot to the students, to the families, and if no one says it, I'm saying it for everyone who really appreciates it. So thank you very much, board. And to Kathy in her absence, thank you very much also. So, yes.
You see the
I'll carry this up like this.
Oh, hey, you know, this actually works here.
Point in that direction. Well, thank you, Mr. Gray. You know, safety is our utmost concern, no matter where it is. So, thank you very much. Okay, district updates. Any updates from business services?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Any updates from education services?
Not at this time, thanks.
Is it me? Any updates from personnel services?
We'll continue the trend,
Okay. Moving on. Bargaining unit comments. TCEA.
Nothing to, except make that noise.
We're at a loss here. I'm not touching nothing.
Gremlins.
No. Everything else is, I'm the only one turned on. It's CSEA 105. Any comments? CSEA 823. Okay. Moving on quickly. Student board member comments?
Yeah. So last Thursday was the Dramas Work in Progress show. A chance to show what they've done and to also raise money for their drama show in April. Our school's first ever TEDx talk was actually last Friday too. We recently had a club on campus called TEDx, and they're certified with the TEDx organization. They invited 5 speakers to come in after school on Friday to kind of share their experiences and have a talk to the students. And they're hoping to have this continue into further years. And also Saturday, the FBLA club went to their sectionals competition, and we have 5 members going on to states. In addition, on Saturday was the ASB school exchange. So we had San Marino, Mark Keppel, and San Gabriel come to our school just to share how their ASB works and compare it to our ASB so we could have share ideas. Mr. TC was this Monday, and we had 9 seniors compete for the position. The winner was Ryan Lewis, and it was a really entertaining show. They also announced the Sadie's theme, which will be on April 7th, which is a game for 2, and people who attend will be able to wear anything that has to do with gaming, characters, or just from any type of show. This week is Nationals Counselor Week, so ASB has been trying to do recognition in posters and also having students write, I appreciate my counselor because, and we'll be giving it to them at the end of this week. And one of the comments we received at our ASB and school board joint meeting was to do an outreach to the local schools. So next Wednesday, ASB and Oak will be doing an exchange, and we'll show them what our ASB at the high school does, promote sort of early leadership, and see if they would be interested in joining. And in addition, this week is also the ASB tryouts, and anybody who's interested in the school will be filling out their forms. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Gould.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to congratulate again the community court. It's really neat to see all these first graders and moving on their way to being in court. The coronation is always exciting too, to see the past court members come up and participate. That's really good. Some of the workshops that I'm going through this weekend is the workshop on the governance for the board. It's my first governance meeting, so I'm kind of excited and nervous to go see that one. But one of the other workshops that I attended was the school construction. It's very enlightening, and all the things that the board or the district has to go through during the construction, and all the reports and everything that they need to fill out. And I'm always amazed at what they have to do, and our school district is right on top of it, and I appreciate that as a board member. One of the committees that I'm involved with is the District Wellness Council. We're revising all the wellness items for the school district and stuff, basically the nutritional and physical education, the school sites, and we're finalizing up the information on that, and we should probably present it to the board pretty soon.
Mr. Nolenberg, if you would please.
I too would like to congratulate the Kaminga Festival, and I think all the board members attended the coronation that they had. It was a very good ceremony, a full house. I also attended the, it was put on by the Chinese American Association, but it was for the Lunar New Year that the city put on, and it was, I thought it was a good turnout for the locals and had a good feel for the community. Instead of walking off the street, it was all in the park, but it was a nice, I thought it was a very nice presentation to go to. I also went to the Rams Repertoire Company's presentation at the high school, and the program they put on was a work in progress. It was kind of like a summary of things that they've done and things that they're going to be doing in the coming months and that. And it was I thought it was very entertaining. And the price is rather reasonable at the door. And then as a general thing, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day, which is coming up for our next meeting. And also I would hope that everybody would go out and vote. The absentee ballots came out, I think, today or yesterday. But whether, I don't know how many items are on the list yet. I am not ballot yet. But hopefully people will vote one way or the other. It doesn't make any difference, just vote. It's, I think, a county referendum or something. And that's it.
All right, very good, thank you. Well, the committee of court, every time I see them, it just reminds me of traditions that we have here, and I keep emphasizing that because that's really important to me, and it's always a joy to see them each and every single year. Sadie Hawkins dance, huh? I built the TARDIS, can I? Never mind, no, we won't do that. And I want to thank Mr. Gray for speaking earlier, but just to be fair, Mr. Gray has gone out there risking himself as well, in all kinds of weather. He's all conditions here, right? So, I appreciate the effort that both Mr. Gray and Mr. Papalian put out there every single morning to help traffic flow and help the families drop off their kids and as well as pick up, I'm sure. And I also want to say that Mr. Marston's been out there with me, so I'm going to be sharing this with him. So he can, actually, he might have a more effective use of this. In any case, unfortunately, I
I missed my first coronation for the Camilla Court. I'm sorry about that. I just had some other things going on that evening. But I did attend the Science Olympiad tournament at Cloverly the past Saturday, and our teams are outstanding, and I want to congratulate the effort that all these kids put out. And you can see that they're very interested, very excited about sciences in general, and that is very near and dear to me, so I'm glad to see that. TEDx, I was there, and I got there towards the back end, and to be frank, I saw it on the flyer sometime earlier in the week, and I kind of told myself, I want to see this, and thankfully I got out of work early that day and saw it again, and otherwise I would have probably slipped my mind. But TED Talks are kind of inspirational, and I'll be honest, when my daughter was a kindergartner, I became slowly more interested in education, and I watched a TED Talk with Sir Ken Robinson and about education, and how we need to move forward. And so, I'm so happy to see our high school kids talk about subjects and topics that are of strong interest to them. Now, I only saw the last speaker, but again, that was really awesome. And I spoke to, and I gotta give credit to their president, Carissa Wong, and I spoke to her just really briefly, how these guys started from grassroots on their own with more or less nothing, and just pen and paper, and Mr. Randall for sponsoring them. But they were so inspired, and Carissa took, I guess, a course, I don't know how many hours, but there was a number of hours to get that certification, so, that's awesome. Unfortunately, she's a senior, so someone's gonna have to carry on. Maybe, hopefully. Anyway, that's, really what I wanted to share this evening, and hopefully we get to see more of these kind of things happen at the high school, maybe even the middle school. So, thank you very much.
Mr. Pomeroy, please.
All right. Well, I want to recognize Mr. Gray. Thank you, sir, for being here and speaking about the crossing guards. I've lived around the corner from Oak Avenue School for several years, and Mr. Gray, you and Mr. T and your staff, I often see you personally out in front in the mornings, and drivers, even when they're dropping off middle school kids, that they do some strange things. So I've always appreciated you being out there and really setting a great example. I'm glad that we've supplemented with crossing guards, and I hear from a number of folks actually at Mr. Bell about you being out and helping, and how much they appreciate that too. So it's a team effort, and I'm glad to see that moving forward. And what else can I say? The Camellia Court was adorable. The coronation was entertaining. The Grand Marshal spoke very movingly, really, about our superintendent having been his counselor when he was in middle school, and also what a difference her father, Mr. Perini, made in this gentleman's life. So it's nice to see that, and when there are events like that, you really get a strong sense that the school district and the leadership of the district is really closely involved with the community, which obviously all of us are trying to follow through with. Glad to hear so much is happening at the high school. I have been able to, I caught some JV girls soccer, and I caught the end of the basketball game, the boys basketball game against South Pasadena, when I wish I knew his name, but he sang 2 free throws with 3 seconds left and won the game. It was very exciting, very exciting. Look forward to further events. I know at least one of our teams already qualified for CIF. Thank you, Mr. President.
It's always hard to follow all those excellent comments. I'll just echo everything. Congratulations to our girls soccer qualifying for CIF. And of course the Science Olympiad at Clover this past weekend. It was a great effort by all the teams. Some of the solutions that they came up with problems was incredible. And these are just grade school kids. It's quite impressive. I'm not sure if I was able to think that much when I was a kid. I was usually in the mud, getting hosed off where I come in the house, that type of thing. The Camellia Festival, it's such a wonderful thing that the school sites can be a part of the city events. A lot of the schools are doing Camellia floats and other youth groups, obviously. But it's a great way that we can be a part of the community, and I really appreciate the opportunity. And being invited to Coronation, I've been to 3 or 4 of them now, and it just each year they just get better and better. And the stories that the kids tell, and it's an honor to be a part of that. And I was pretty happy to see how well Mr. Gould was received when he was introduced that night. He's going to be very popular amongst all the kids in the school, so kudos to you, Mr. Gould. So yes, and the spring musical coming up, March, what is it, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe is the dates. So everyone get their tickets for that. My son is in it, junior cast member. So thank you. You know what, I'll say also, Mr. Gray, thank you very much for your comments tonight, and what you and your staff do at Oak is incredible. You know, I've been there, you know, with Mr. Bell a few times. He's been there a lot more than I was, but seeing what you do and the run around you do, it's quite the cardio workout for you, I can tell. and even the other site principals, Mr. Westgate at Emperor out there in the drop-offs in the morning, it's for 20 minutes it's just chaos in all these sites, and it's dangerous, and there's people crossing and people running and people having fun and just going to school, and so it's really a joy to see that all the staff is so intent on safety. I really appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Kuna, are you going to be our superintendent comment tonight? You're not as pretty, but anything to say?
Just that Kathy regrets not being here today, so she misses all you guys.
And just, I think I mentioned earlier, Kathy's at a superintendent's symposium this week. I think it started yesterday, and she was so busy that she was here most of today taking care of issues, and was able to finally get out of here sometime late in the afternoon. So she'll have a busy evening, I'm sure, tonight, and a couple of days catching up on what superintendents do every day. Okay, I have no written comments here, so we will move right into our discussion action agenda. Do I have a motion for adoption of the math expressions?
So second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Nolenberg, seconded by Mr. Gould. Dr. Kistler, would you be so kind as to enlighten us?
So yes, the first thing I'm going to say is properly good evening, Board President Marston, board members and cabinet and audience that are here tonight. Then I'm going to step back and say, I am so excited. I love my job, but this is one of the best things about the job, being able to really bring things that are going to benefit the students and the teachers. And so I wanted to make sure that I read this properly so that I don't forget any pieces that were part of this. So you talked about, President Marston, you talked about you do the what, and this is the how. So I want to share that. So we are here tonight for consideration of adopting our K-5 math program for the district. And I wanted to give you all here a little bit of background so you have some information as you review this particular item. The team in Educational Services had the opportunity to work with wonderful and dedicated teachers who were focused on selecting a strong math curriculum on behalf of our students. Each school had a representative from each grade level so that they could share the information back at their school site with their grade level teams, as well as the other staff members at that site. The team also had Mr. Rose, and he was a participant and an advisor because of his math expertise, as well as providing a lens for a site administrator at the elementary level. So the committee got together a few times and considered 3 publishers who had updated their offerings so that they were able to provide the rigor that was required by the state, but also could meet the high standards that we have for our students within this district. We used a metric called the IMET, and before, when we had the different standards, I just want to share that publishers, the state of California said, here's your list of publishers, and you kind of just went through a checklist and looked at those. But now with our new standards, it's a real rigorous piece. So we made sure that each publisher, we looked at each publisher with line item by line item materials. This whole wall and the surrounding wall was covered with charts going through, and I really identifying, really looking through all of the instructional materials, all levels, whether it was teachers or students, so that we could make absolutely sure that we were comfortable with what we were going to be offering up to you today. So that IMAT, what it does, it measures focus and coherence across grade levels, rigor and balance. We want to make sure that we also identify and focus on fluency. We've heard a lot about doing math differently, and that's okay, but in the end, we want to know that our kids can do mental math or maybe think about it in various ways, but get there because it's important and a stepping stone for some of the other pieces that we have in our repertoire of content. We also wanted to make sure that it appealed to and had access for all of our different students that we have, whether they're gifted or special needs or just take their trajectories differently. So we also adapted the metric to make sure that we were considering educational technology and digital tools, and we had conversations focusing around whether the materials were easy to use for teachers, students, parents, any stakeholder who needed to have access to this material, they could figure out how to use that. We also reviewed our own board policy to make sure that we were in alignment with how we went about our processes in doing this adoption, and that was inclusion of teachers, making sure that those materials were friendly to the users. So finally, after we did all of that vetting and all of that hard work and that discussion around it, we chose California Math Expressions by Hood, Mifflin, Harcourt. We felt that it met the measures consistently. And I just also want to say that we also considered some of the open materials that we're using right now as bridge with the new standards. And we looked at that, but we felt in the end that this program that we're offering for today was the one that stood out and would be relevant for our students as we looked at what our high standards are. So what does this mean? And what does this adoption give us? It basically, you buy the consumable books for 8 years. But when you get that, you receive gratis materials, if you will. So I want to talk about the gratis materials because those are also the meat and potatoes of the program. So the teachers will get a teacher's edition. They'll get a digital management center for any of the quizzes and tests that the students are doing in blended learning. And as they move forward, I think it's pretty interesting because if kids have a quiz, the computer will be able to assess that and give the teachers information instantaneously. They'll also have online lesson planners, professional development videos, literature libraries, because remember we want to make the connection between literacy and mathematics as well. So they'll have this. And they'll also have some structures around student differentiation. So if they realize after they get a quiz back that a student needs work within a certain area, they can do some adaptations through various means in blended learning situations or in the old-fashioned paper pencil kinds of ways. So they have various ways of supporting students. They'll also have the opportunity to have test prep material for state tests, and that actually starts in first grade. And I know it sounds unusual, but remember, they're the stepping stone and they're preparing us. So they'll get information, of course not in an SBAC format, but in ways that will lead up to what they're going to be doing or be exposed to when they're in third grade. It also will include live professional development for all of our K-5 teachers, and that will give an overview of the program and use of the teaching tools. We'll later have opportunities to dive a little further with some professional development depending on what we want to do. So if there's an opportunity and need for the digital component, we can go ahead and do that. If there's a coaching need, we can do that. There's grade level needs. So publishers have really adapted to what teachers and school districts need so that they can really fine-tune the training that we give our teachers. But I wanted to share that families also have digital access too. They will have interactive student activity books. They'll have a program called a personal math trainer where the teacher can put in information or data, and it's somewhat of an adaptable learning system. They'll have virtual manipulatives so that they can concretize abstract thoughts and information. And all of this will be supported on an online platform called Think Central. So I just want to let you know too that all of the materials, I know you've heard it a couple of times, were on display for consideration for the public starting January 17th. And I waited until 4 o'clock this afternoon. We posted the information at the district, at each elementary website, and on the district's website. And we received no public comments, to my knowledge, as we checked through. So, once again, I am proud of our collaborative efforts and the time and dedication from our teachers, including our TCA President Deb Mori. And I also want to thank Ethan Stocks and Suman Chow in Educational Services because they did a phenomenal job at helping us create these structures and then actually meeting with the teachers as well. And I think our good work together has allowed us to bring this forth to you today. And so as you see, some of you have been looking, I've given you volume 1 of the teacher manual and the student activity book. Please no questions for me in terms of the actual mathematics there. You can ask about the adoption. And then we have more in the back there. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you. Just a comment. I want to thank you and your entire Ed Services team for the hard work and the patience and the wisdom of knowing that, you know, after 2 or 3 years of looking through all this material and knowing that Common Core has just begun and having that good sense to know that it's good to let our staff kind of look through these things as they come around, because we know that they're going to continually improve. And certainly it looks like this specific publisher, from everything that you've shared with us, definitely shows that there are all these key components that connect both our teachers and the students. So I want to thank you for that. On a side note, you know, I got the 3rd grade one and I was afraid I was not going to pass, but actually I could, so thank you.
That's a good Temple City Foundation for education that you got.
Mr. Olber?
Yes, I also like to thank you for all the hard work picking these. Could you just explain, I guess over the next years, has the book publishers come up with a new business plan for digital books and to be able to support digital information?
So we're seeing a lot of that from the publishers, and what's interesting is when we went back and asked them, what have you done lately for me, between when we first started looking at this and now, where we're seeing the growth and the change is within the digital component because they're able to respond to the needs of schools sooner. So some of the things that they have been able to update is that Think Central element where students have the opportunity to do all kinds of things online. The other piece that we're finding is beneficial for teachers is not only will it give quizzes, teachers can do assigned learning depending on students' levels or students' needs. And we used to find that those were separate programs. So if you bought a math program, you didn't necessarily have that with it. You had to go and find it other ways. And we're thinking and we're seeing over time that they're meshing many things together so that you're not looking at all these different components. You might need a few more components because they will tell you deeper or different information, but it seems to be combining here. And I'm also seeing that as we start taking a peek with English language arts because we're seeing really how that interfaces with our student learning systems like Aries. So if a teacher gives a quiz, it bops down in Aries in a percentage form or in a metric rubric form. And then those teachers can push that into a grade book or they can share it with students. So it really is becoming more diverse. The digital experience with books for students are becoming more interactive as well.
Another question, a general question. Are we buying enough books so that a student can take them home and read them and still in the classroom have a book that can be used or not?
So we are buying consumables because, you know, we used to have the hard textbooks, and
Right.
what we're finding is you can still buy them, but publishers and districts are moving away. And one of the things we have in our policy is that they're not too heavy for our kids, especially our little guys. And so when you have the 2 consumable books, that way you'll find that it won't be like that. But in addition, that is online and interactive online. So there could be the potential as we grow other things where teachers could upload it Google Docs, or students, if they forget their book, they can download it from
Or they
home.
can do the homework at home?
Or from the library. So it provides the opportunity for access if you're out of town, or if you just forgot it at school. I can't tell you how many times as a principal or a teacher I'd have to open that door again and just say, okay, hurry up and get your homework. So that hopefully will alleviate that.
And this goes through what, the 6th grade?
We did K-5. We had already adopted a Common Core TK, and we felt that we didn't want to disrupt the structures that they had already put in. 6 articulates very nicely, usually in a middle school format. So we're looking at 6, 7, 8 together, and we're beginning the process of having discussions generally with the middle school, just discovering about how we operate together.
And I guess we're using the book money, right? Only,
Oh.
and you have a limit of $500,000. But that's over an 8-year period?
Yes, 8 years, restricted lottery. It really comes out to being about $28 per year for the student, if you divide it out by the students. So looking at some of the other materials that we looked at earlier, I feel, what I've noticed, it's a very reasonable cost for all of the pieces that you're getting. And we also will, I want to add, we will build in Williams each year, so we'll have an additional extra piece. We'll keep these, so I'll leave those materials back. We'll keep these at the district office for needs. And we have an extra kit at the schools for special education teachers, because we find that they may teach multiple grade levels and they need access to having the multiple materials. We want to make sure we don't overwhelm them with a stack of books that they won't need, so it will match pretty much their counts.
I got a question. I also think on the cost that it was for $500,000, is that also including the digital, as we move more into digital texts and stuff? Is that that's all involved with that too?
That includes all of the digital, so everything that was gratis. I did pull one piece out of there because as I looked at it, it was a 1-year cost, so it wasn't 8-year gratis. And as I looked at that, it really was a partnership that another business had with Hoot Mifflin, where they were trying to sell their materials, but we feel we have sufficient materials and programs for that between the math program and iReady.
So, when you say the book's consumable, in a sense, you're talking about this book,
I'm
right?
talking about the little one in your hand.
Oh, this one?
And so the kids use that up every year. They get a brand new one comes in every year for that grade
So
level.
they just tear out the lesson
That's
and
correct.
turn it in?
Yep.
And the book keeps shrinking in size?
Yes. And then you go to volume 2 and then they're done for the year.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank you in particular because obviously this is, adopting things like this and talking about instruction, that's one of the most important things we do, and all the school safety stuff and the buildings and everything is to allow good stuff like this to happen. And when I joined the school board, I thought, oh great, I'm going to hear a lot about how we're teaching our kids. And so I'm glad we finally get to hear a little bit. But also, given that none of us were really trained educators, it's an area where, at least with this particular board, we are relying in large part on our professionals, as we rely on all of you anyway. But I appreciate the process you set up in coordinating with the middle school teachers and coordinating at each of the sites. And so again, this is one where we do rely on you. I'm thankful, Dr. Tcusd, to have you and your team and the great curriculum coordinators we brought on this year to lead this process. And going through here, the teacher edition, I have to tell you that it just really, I'm really impressed with everything that a 4th grade teacher has to juggle, because we've got
this is differentiated in here for students at 3 different learning levels, and there's supplemental things and all kinds of stuff, and this is only volume 1. So, fourth grade teacher who, as I seem to recall, is teaching a few other subjects as well. This is a lot for them to deal with, but I appreciate all of you taking the time, being thorough, and selecting a program. So for 8 years, sounds like we'll be in pretty good shape.
Yes, just will say too that they give you everything in the kitchen sink with that, and as we do our professional development and as teachers use their own expertise and skills, some of those things they'll use, some of them they'll use differently, and they can also assign some of those things as digital resources in different ways. So they have a myriad of opportunities to utilize some of those, and so I'm excited to see what they bring to it.
And I imagine that what they need depends on their student group and what levels they are, and there may be individual students that really need something different. So it looks like this gives the teacher the opportunity to access that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, again, obviously, thank you very much for all the work you've done and the committee that you put together. How many times did the committee get together and look at this?
Was it?
Approximately, 10 times, more?
It was 4.
4 times? Over what kind of time period?
Full days in the month of December.
Okay. And just to clarify, please, you said there was a teacher from each grade, from each site, K through 5, yes?
Correct.
And after each committee meeting, did they go back and talk to their peers about what they had seen and kind of get some, what do you think type advice and get back to the meeting?
Yeah, that was a hope, and that's what we asked to do. So after each meeting, we took a picture of the charts and put them on a Google Doc and sent them out. And I want to say maybe email too, both ways, so that teachers could actually have the raw information that had not been reformatted in a typed out structure. But we also took the time to type out all of the information that we saw on those charts to share with them so that they had the information to share. Additionally, when we put the materials out, and I don't know if I said this or not, forgive me, but we also had a kit for each grade level at each school, so that they could go over that at grade levels, or it was in their lunchroom or wherever, so that they could also look at the materials. And I think where policy asked, or our practice maybe, I'm not sure which, we only usually put the materials out for 10 days. We put the materials out for a long time, and the teachers, we actually have that material at the sites prior to that.
Okay, so we're fairly confident that majority, if not all, the teachers have seen this and they are okay with working with this?
I feel confident that we use the committee as the process to vet this and to choose that, and that they went back to their sites. I know that every site that I've been to, the materials have been out, and I've seen teachers looking and browsing through those. Also, with the opportunity for the community to take a look at the materials, we wanted to make sure that we gave sufficient time for everybody to have the opportunity to see it.
Right. What kind of notice was given to the community to respond?
It was posted on our website, it was posted at all the sites, it was posted at the district office. We had a form here for them to be able to fill out if they had any comments or questions. We had a little box for them to drop it in so that it would be confidential. So we made them aware January 17th, and like I said, we kept it out longer than what had been our normal practice, just so that we could involve any stakeholders. I also gave on that notice my phone number, so that if anyone had any questions, they could call me directly, or anyone at the sites who had some opportunity or knowledge about it. So we really wanted to have some really clear exposure for the materials.
Was the public given information to direct them to the websites to look for this, to give a response?
It was on the first page of the website, and on the listing, I would have to go to my computer to look exactly what it said, but we followed pretty much the standard documentation that we have done for the public, making them aware that there's a public review of instructional materials according to board policy, and the hours of the office and where they would be located in the office. I also let Deb in front know that where the materials were in case somebody came in. She could guide them to where the materials would be so that they could review it.
Okay. I'm sorry, just one more, maybe two more. Did I hear you say that the tests or quizzes would be done electronically?
They can be.
Okay.
So there are some.
And when they are done electronically only is when the teacher can instantaneously see where the student kind of falls.
There are a number of processes that we have for that. So teachers, sometimes by the nature of their own teacher-created materials, are looking for evidence of student progress and on goals. Another way are the typical tests that you might see, progress monitoring or summative tests that are in books for teachers to be able to get that information. There are open-ended tests or tasks, since we're going to project-based learning, and that's aligned with some of the things that we've seen in our STEAM projects, so that we really are looking for the idea of perseverance and the idea of problem solving and critical thinking as well. So there are a myriad of opportunities for a student to demonstrate their learning. So some of it may be what we were used to, and some of it may be in the form of open-ended tasks or questions where teachers then evaluate what the students are learning, or they take that opportunity to use questioning skills so that students are engaged in some of those oral communication skills that go back to ideas of TED Talks as well as the state standards that we now have for oral fluency.
Okay. So the information for the classroom, the kids take a test online, I'm assuming online. Who owns that information? Is it kept on the school district servers, or will it be at the publisher's websites?
It's a great question. I believe that it's ours. We use their platform, but we have that information and it will connect with Aries. So when we're finished with this, we have a meeting set up with Andy and the publisher, but they assured us that none of the information would be out for gleaning from other entities to find out data or pull data from our students.
Right. So, this will be my last question. When we're at home and we go on to this resource, digital resource for parents to help our kids with homework, will we be on the publisher website doing that, or will we be through the school sites doing that?
It will be the publisher, because some of it is just basic information like videos or those kinds of things. If a teacher puts something on that's collaborative, that's closed off. And we're going to see that more and more as we deal with digital materials.
Well, thanks. I think that's great information for everyone to hear.
Thank you.
So, and again, you know, what you guys have done is phenomenal. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I have one more
Yes.
question. I'm assuming if we adopt this, then it's going to start next year?
Yes.
Okay. What is the plan, and what is the protocol we're going to have for the teachers to have them be comfortable and be able to teach this?
Well,
What's our steps?
Yes, so some of it will come in the form of professional development. Unfortunately, some of the PD that we've done earlier has laid the groundwork for some of this information. So even before I was here, we did some work with UCLA called CGI training.
All right, a little slow there.
And it's actually a great program that shows teachers or provides those structures that we talked around project-based learning and around the tasks. We also have some training at looking at the major and minor focuses for each grade level within any of the published materials or open source materials. That's a requirement from the state of California. Additionally, we're here tonight so that we can get this all taken care of and signed up, so we can start the process with the publisher to try to get the teacher handbooks in the teacher's hands very early. In March, on our March Professional Development Day, on the 13th, we are having them come to give a overview, just a general overview for 2 hours to kind of set the groundwork. It is our hope that as soon as school is out, the following Monday, we will have training for K-5 teachers. And then we will have another training that's not within the teacher school year, so we're hoping that many teachers will want to come. If they're like me, I wanted that training early in the summer so I could think about it all the time. But some people might have obligations, so we will have another one during our school year at the beginning of August when we're back, so that we make sure that we connect with all of our teachers. And once again, they also have packages depending on what our teachers' needs are for different and various kinds of professional development. The other thing that we like to consider are we've got great teachers. And so when they have that collaboration time that they have while their students are at PE or during some of their early release time, that's an opportunity for them to collaborate with one another and really speak to and focus on what worked or what worked with the different parts of their population as they're moving on and trying these various opportunities that they have through the books. But once again, the vetting process, what we really want to look at is, does it have meaningful information for our students, for our teachers, and is there ease of use? Can teachers kind of go through this and figure out and follow things? Our teachers are credentialed, they have strong backgrounds. I believe in them and I trust their expertise, and we're alongside to help them with the professional development and their collaborative efforts that they have through professional learning communities.
Kind of a general question is, since this is an 8-year period that we're going to do this, I would hope that somewhere along the way we would start learning that some of the material needs to be all supplemented or something. Is there a method of being able to get to the publisher and explain to the publisher our needs per se, so they're specific for us, so the publisher can then provide the appropriate handout, I guess, or whatever term you want, supplement information for us? Is there a vehicle to do that, or do we have to do a separate contract?
So I think what we're noticing is that some of that is happening through the digital pieces. They're able to update that digital information pretty quickly. If the publisher has some issues that have been across the board with districts, they usually can make those changes within the student materials if there are fine tunings that need to be made there. Oftentimes you have your teacher book, it is what it is that first year, so they'll send you an update with a sticker or something, but typically I found that that's not been, that's not something that I've seen in all my years of education, other than realizing, or like I said, teachers will say this may work better here as opposed to where the publisher fit it based on what we know about our students. And we also have teachers have different resources that they like to go to. This is just one unique resource, but it allows a baseline and a platform for consistency in our district through grade levels, through schools, and through the articulation between grade levels.
Do you know if there are other districts in the area that are using this publisher?
Yes. So off the top of my head, I can tell you South Pass uses it. I know that many districts, I believe, and so this is secondhand information, are reevaluating what they did a couple of years ago and looking towards maybe a material like this. I can't speak for them, but I know that in us waiting for some more digital information to come out and just some more bulking up of some of these materials has paid off in the end. I also want to talk to the 8-year piece that I heard just a little bit ago. The state of California, as you know, has a window of, X that they have an adoption. And so I think the next, don't quote me, but the next time that the math framework is up for consideration is in 5 years, which means probably 6 or 7 years we'll be ready for new published material. So we'll be right on the side of being able to watch other people kind of, I like to be an early adopter sometimes, not on this. So we'll have the opportunity to see how that all rolls out because we have this 8-year piece. And typically, we see 6 to 7 and 8 is becoming more of a norm.
Any more questions, gentlemen? Okay, then all in favor for adoption, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Okay, moving on. I move that we approve the instructional calendars for year 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Nolenberg. Any discussion, questions, anything?
So our intent has always been to try and give our families as much notice as possible as far as school dates starting and ending and any days in between for holidays. We've always tried to bring 2 years at a time. Last year we were only able to bring 1, but we're cut back up to 2 years. This is something that we've worked with all of our associations with. There's also something that is a calendar formula that's part of the contract through TCA that we abide by. The flexibility comes in our staff development days, and so what we're really trying to do is have staff development day within each of our, before school starts, 1 in the middle, or in our first trimester and 1 in our second trimester to space them out. And then one of the things that might help you with Mr. Gould's question is, a couple of years ago, we had instituted a kind of a trial where we allowed teachers to take professional development in the summer in lieu of a November 21st date, so that they could take the entire week off for Thanksgiving. And so one of the things that we'll be offering during the summer will be the math component of staff development. And I want to say that probably 98% of our teachers take advantage of that staff development opportunity. So they'll be able to take math math staff development day in the summer, as opposed to waiting until November for something like that. So that's our intent with the calendars and just the flag.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for your attention to detail. Any comments, questions?
I have a question. So we're going for, as a 2-year period, so next year at this time, are we not going to be doing?
No, we won't be doing
Okay,
it.
so we're
We
2 years.
try and keep about 2 to 3 years in advance for our parents. Next year, we probably won't bring anything, and then the following year, we'll bring another 2 years.
Are we doing early, aren't we?
I'm sorry?
We're starting to keep moving up.
No, it,
I mean, we moved up last year or the year before that. didn't we?
so the start date is based on a calendar formula. It's basically a 7-year cycle based on when Labor Day falls.
Right.
And so we are at the tail end of that 7-year cycle right now. And what's happening is, because Labor Day is falling earlier, we're starting earlier in that last week, second to last week of August. But you'll see that the calendars that are being presented now, we're going back into the other end of the cycle where we're going to be starting the later part of August, which is like August 27th, 28th, somewhere in there. So it's about a 7-year cycle where you'll see in early August 20th to a late August 20th.
But the students will be able to take their tests early before the break.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you'll notice even a lot of districts that went to the early start, most particularly LAUSD, is trying to move their calendar back to a more traditional start, much the same as what we have now. So.
Thank you. So basically, this is keeping the approximate schedule we have right now. So it had been moved up within the last few years by a week or by 2 weeks?
By days, each year it would move up like a day.
But there was a time when we did shift it to before Labor Day at some point. But we're not doing any more shifting. So were you asking about final exams? Final exams will still be after Christmas, right?
Yes.
Because that's, so as far as having the 2 or 3 weeks of of the end of the first semester, that would still be after the break, I believe. So this is essentially keeping the status quo, which I'm in favor of doing. But that's what we're doing. Okay.
Yes, Jessica.
Yes, I was wondering if in the future will finals ever be before feel about taking finals before the break and after. And I believe it was 4 out of 5 wish that finals was before the break. So that it would be something that could be done.
It would be a change to the formula, because in order to take finals before a winter break, you would need to start early August. Generally, schools start somewhere around August 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there, in order to be able to get the required number of days in for the first semester. So at this point, based on our contract language and based on what we've been doing, I don't see that as something that's going to change soon. However, depending upon the needs of the district and students, that is always something that we can talk about.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor to approve the instructional calendar, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. Alrighty, I move that we approve the retirement early notification incentive.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Norbert. Mr. Cooney, you care to?
Sure. So this really is, it's just an incentive for individuals to notify us early of their intention to retire. And it's really something that just a slight token of our appreciation for their years of service. We have tried to be a little more conservative this year in our approach. We decreased this amount by 25% from the previous 2 years. And the reality of it is, this is not something that we might be able to sustain year after year. We're thankful that we're able to do it again this coming year, but it may not be something that we can do in years to come. So it is a little bit less than the last time, but I still think it's something that our staff will appreciate, and it's something that will help us as we move forward in trying to plan for what our needs will be. And in the last 2 years, it has helped us to get out into the hiring process earlier for our teachers. And I think we've done a really good job of selecting quality teachers based on the fact that we were there earlier.
Okay.
And just another note, I think in the last 2 years, we had resignation as a possibility also for this, but we took that out just for retirements this year. So if people choose to resign and go elsewhere, they wouldn't qualify for this, but it's just for teachers who have spent years here and classified staff years here and are retiring from our district.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Just to clarify, all they have to do is retire, right?
Yes,
I mean, they
retire.
could have served in some other district for a portion of their time, which would count towards retirement of this, and then they worked here.
Yeah, there's no minimum number of years you had to work here.
I just want to make
in
sure
order to
that
qualify.
people,
Any other questions, comments?
just a comment is, and I kind of agree in one sense, there's a lot of teachers, or at least feedback I'm getting from some of the people, not just teachers, but they keep looking at, are we going to do this next year and the year after? And it's becoming, I don't know, kind of a mixed bag. It's becoming something that they look forward to. They wait until the last minute until we do this before they'll actually decide to retire. And I'm not sure that's what we really want, per se. We want them to come step forward and say, I'm going to quit at the end of August or whatever it is. And are they going to retire during the summer or something? This is my last year. And we want them to step forward as soon as possible. And so I think the point you made about nobody can guarantee that this is going to happen next year or the year after. I think we got to make that strong. That's got to be very strongly emphasized that this is not something that we're going to do on a year-to-year basis, or may not do on a year-to-year basis. We may do it next year, and we may not. But I don't think people should start counting on this as something that they're going to get maybe a kicker. They're going to retire anyways, and they're waiting for this to come out. That's my comment.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor for approved early retirement notification?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, I will move that we receive our new board policy, 3470, which covers our debt issuance and management policy.
Second.
This is for second reading.
Second.
Seconded by Mr.
No, it's the
Norbert.
first reading, isn't it?
No, this is second reading.
Okay.
We had this the last meeting.
And just one clarification. Is this mainly for the bond? Since most of it's brand new?
So it would cover either the bond, or it would also cover if we had to do trans, like we had to do 3 or 4 years ago. So it's any kind of debt that the board would decide to take
But
on
it-
for the district.
It's not retroactive to the,
Pardon me?
is this retroactive? I mean, I think we comply with most of the rules.
We have, it's just formalizing per CSBA language.
Any other questions or comments concerning board policy 3470? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
5-0. Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second. I'll make the motion, so moved.
It's been motioned by Mr. Nolberg, seconded by Mr. Gould. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda?
Just a question, I guess.
Huh?
On item 23, I think it is, on the contracts. We have a lot of contracts for, we have a lot. We have 3 contracts for deferred maintenance. I'm just wondering how much of the work, or how do we decide what goes out as a contract for deferred maintenance and what are we doing in-house with the deferred maintenance, in a sense?
So it's dependent on the size of the project, the skill set of our staff, and comparing the length of time and the cost internally versus using outside service. And the number of projects that we have going, we have a pretty small staff, so we want to get things done timely as well.
Any other questions concerning items on the consent agenda? All in favor of approving consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Mr. Gould, have any closing comments?
Just want to say thank you again to the district personnel for this, I think, outstanding program that we're coming into. I think you guys did a lot of good work. Thank you.
Mr. Albert?
Just a comment. The county library, which is across the street, has now installed a new kiosk, which allows students or people with library cards the right to be able to check out a laptop. And they can use it in the library all day long. And so for those people who do not have a laptop at home or cannot afford one, it is an alternative method of being able to get access to the internet or anything else. And the students, all they have to do is have a library card. And it's a county library. I don't think people understand how nice it is to have this, because not all the libraries do have it. And it's a nice plum for our library. Also, it is a method of being able to cut down on the floor space, usage of floor space, which will then hopefully help with the library's eventual modifications.
Mr. Bell?
Yeah, I would like to know if, as I was commenting earlier, if the high school's TEDx staff would be interested in stopping by and telling us more about their story and how they're doing this and what their hopes or plans are for the future.
Mr. Plummer?
Nothing, thank you.
I had one other, I guess, request, and that is to maybe get a report on what we're doing in terms of PR, what we're doing for like ads in the paper or what events, so that the public, how we telling the public what we're doing over the last year or so, and what kind of resources we're using to do that, I guess. Just more of a report and information than anything else.
I also echo Mr. Bell's desire to hear from TED. I think that would be an interesting presentation. Okay, not hearing any more comments, I move that we adjourn to the next meeting. Seconded by Mr. Nolenberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.